back to the show. Let's revisit Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Our friend Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. This is not officially the NBA Weekly. We're just putting you in the SportsWrap Spotlight today.
Oh, I am honored, always happy to be on. So,
somebody has to say yes. All right, Game 3 NBA Final. Kurt, I told you yesterday. Come on, own it. I called it. I said I'm taking my victory lap today because I knew the Spurs were going to win this game. And tell me if you agree with this idea. There's almost more pressure coming back home for the Knicks in that environment than there is playing on the road. You know what you're getting playing on the road. There's going to be fans booing and this and that. That scene last night was unlike anything we've seen at Madison Square Garden in my lifetime, and I'm 48 years old. Okay, not even against Jordan's Bulls. None of that was like what we saw last night. There was almost an expectation level that it was the start of the coronation here for the Knicks. And the Spurs were like, not on our watch. What did you get? What was your big takeaway watching that Game 3 Spurs win last night?
I think you're onto something in this sense. I thought the Spurs were the more poised team. I mean, New York made its run in the second quarter. They outscored them 42-24, had the big up 7 at the half, but led by more than that at points. Like, you could see them, and then the Spurs, we're watching them in these playoffs grow up before our eyes, which is terrifying, by the way, if you talk to other execs who are now like, how do we deal with Wemby in 3 years? But aside that whole conversation, you could see them like, all right, we just got to get back to what we're doing. They were Knicks fans are complaining vehemently about the officiating, and I don't think it was a well-officiated game. We can get into it, but
hasn't been a well-officiated series, Kurt.
But the Spurs got those foul calls because they went into the paint. They were the ones attacking. They were the ones not settling for jumpers. The Knicks were the ones settling outside of OG. Anunoby was great, but they settled too much, and then they did what Landry Shamet did and chose poorly when they chose to drive. You've got the Spurs were the more aggressive, more poised team last night, and that got them a W. And I think did the atmosphere have something to do with it? Maybe, like you said, just the energy around the building. And like you said, I believe they hadn't lost since April. There was an expectation of just, we're going to roll through this thing. We are the best team. Now they're going to have to go earn it. And they very well may in the next game. But the Spurs have started to find something, and the Knicks are now going to have to match it.
Mike Brown post-game talking about the officiating. He was not happy.
Opportunities for fouls to be called to at least try to even the free throws out. Now, we didn't play good. San Antonio played great. We could have played better. There were a lot of things that we didn't do that we did in Game 1 and Game 2. But to go 24 free throw attempts in a second half, that's 48 for the game if you think about it the way that they called that second half, compared to 8. All the shots we took, we got fouled 4 times, roughly, for 8 free throw attempts. Again, I don't complain much. I never thought I'd see that in an NBA Finals game.
All right, Kurt, thoughts on Mike Brown? Just sort of greasing the skids for next game?
Yeah, partial. I mean, that's the age-old tradition, right? And I know Knicks fans are mad today. By the way, on a personal note between you and I, Jason, I find nothing more tedious and boring in professional sports as a fan than watching the losing team's fans complain about the officiating after every loss because it's never their team. It's the officiating. So I think Mike is trying to do that. I think the Spurs, like I said, they were the more aggressive team in this one. They got to the line more, and Knicks fans were frustrated with the calls. By the way, Wemby probably should have got a technical, although Brunson's like grabbing his
without
jersey.
question, he should have gotten a technical there.
I had no problem with the Champagny call when he trucked him.
Agreed.
I thought that was right. I thought that was the right call. So, like, we could go back and forth about individual calls, but on the whole theme, he's just trying to get it. He's trying to do it. Look, I'll take the fine if it gets us. It just goes back to Phil Jackson did this. You would know. I wasn't around when Red Auerbach was coaching, Jason, but like I'm sure he did that. This is something that goes way back. So I think he knew what he was doing, and we'll see if his team responds to that in game 3 and they start getting back to who more they were in the first 2 games.
I like the Knicks in 6. I still think I think it lays out now better for Knicks in 6, given the fact that I think they win game 4, lose game 5 in San Antonio, come back to the Garden and win it in 6. Based on what you've seen over the first 3 games, still feel the same way about your prediction?
Spurs in 7? I think I told you when I said that Knicks in 6 was a possibility. I think that's still the more likely outcome now. But I think we learn a lot in the next game. I think we see whether there is another level. That was, the other takeaway from this game for me was how good Stephen Castle was after being not good at all in the first 2 games. Yeah. Clearly, you bring the UConn guy back to Madison Square Garden and he just goes off, right? Like Stephen Castle just goes off. If he's playing like that, it becomes harder because he was a mess in those first 2 games. Dylan Harper continues to just get to the rim whenever he wants, but Castle was kind of the guy who really flipped for them.
They're not ChatGPT kind of smart, but they are so quick to learn. It feels like this Spurs team. Like
you're kind of watching them mature.
Really, you watch it right before your very eyes, Kurt.
Yeah, and I think that's what's scary for a lot of the league is that they're like looking at this like this team is now got its core and booked. And by the way, they're going to have to deal with building out around it and all that over the years. That's a pretty smart front office. They may have done this before and had a long run of success. So the other thing is, I will just say this, talking to a couple of New Yorkers before this and then after, how did Wemby get a key to Gramercy Park and get to go in and draw statues and relax in there, man? Like what New Yorkers like, yeah, we'll let him in. Like, that's amazing. Not how you deal with this, man.
Nope.
New Yorkers were calling out the Sesame Street characters online for trying to be neutral.
Kurt Helin. I get it. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Check out his work there throughout the NBA Finals. Appreciate you, my friend. Be well.
Take care.
Bad look for Sam Presti. This whole thing with SGA where he's out there saying he's playing against 6. I thought it was a bad look for Sam. I thought it was a bad look for Sam Presti to go. It's one thing to defend your player. I get that. But this just reeked of SOFT soft.
Yeah, it was. And it's funny. I don't think it's not something you get from Shae. It's not something you get from he just kind of accepts it for what it is. I don't know. What was weird about that to me was, as you said with Mike Brown and Mitch Johnson, frankly, would have done the same thing if it were reversed. You grease the skids, right? You're trying to get the officials going one way for another. What was he doing? What? They don't play again until the fall. And even then, those games don't really I don't want to say don't matter, but kind of, this, the Thunder are going to be fine during next regular season. It was, I'm not sure where that came from other than frustration. And it's kind of weird because, as I've told you about Presti before, there's got of people I've talked to around the league, few I've ever been in a group conversation with where I'm like, I'm easily the dumbest person in this thing. Like he's going to get dumber talking to me in a way that's not good for him. Like he's just so smart at basketball. And then they came out and did this. I'm like, where did that come from?
So my read on it isn't crazy.
No, I don't think so. I was a little, it was a little weird and the timing was a little weird. And everything else in that press conference is what you'd expect him to say. We want Chet back, which they're going to. But, we might bring everybody back. They're not. They can't afford to. Like he said everything he was supposed to. But that was the one part I was agreed. I'm like, really? Was that? Outside of trying to butter up Shae, maybe Shae wants to hear that. I'm not sure why you do that.
Any new news on the draft as far as what the Wiz do with number 1?
I've spoke with somebody tied to a team, somebody who would be in a position to have some information about this over the weekend. They were kind of like they've been really buttoned up in Washington, but still the belief is about 80-90% they are going to take AJ DeBonsa. At the end of the day, it comes down to this. Even if you like Peterson, and most teams have them on the same tier, take the 6'10 guy over the 6'5 guy.
Interesting. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Check him out. Always appreciate you, my man. Be well.
Take care.